Greenland, Danish on paper, American on the radar, sovereignty, as seen from 30,000 feet, Greenland belongs to Denmark. This is not controversial. It is written into constitutional arrangements, confirmed by treaties, reaffirmed by diplomats, and defended by Danish officials with the weary patience of those who suspect that repeating a legal fact does not make it any more decisive. Sovereignty, after all, is a word with a long history and a thinning practical meaning. In the age of satellite constellations, hypersonic missiles, undersea cables, and early warning radar, sovereignty is less a matter of flags and more a matter of fields, electromagnetic fields, radar fields, detection envelopes, and response windows. In these domains, Greenland's legal status matters far less than its location. Geography, that most tyrannical of forces, has once again overruled law. On paper, Greenland is Danish. On screens, dashboards, and military command interfaces, it is American. This duality is not accidental, nor is it temporary. It is the natural outcome of a strategic environment in which power is exercised not through annexation but through integration. Greenland does not need to be owned to be controlled, it needs only to be indispensable. And indispensable it is, the island that refuses to be peripheral. Greenland is vast, inhospitable, sparsely populated, and economically marginal. These facts once made it peripheral. Today, they make it central. In the Arctic, emptiness is not absence, it is exposure. Distance is not insulation, it is vulnerability. The shortest path between North America and Eurasia runs not through oceans but across ice. During the Cold War, this was already understood. Greenland became an early warning outpost against Soviet bombers and missiles, a frozen sentinel watching the polar approaches. The Cold War ended, the ice began to melt, and for a brief historical moment Greenland receded into strategic obscurity. That moment has passed, the Arctic is no longer a frozen moat. It is a thinning membrane. As sea ice retreats, shipping lanes emerge. Undersea resources become accessible, and military planners rediscover a theater they had never truly forgotten. Russia fortifies its Arctic bases. China declares itself a near-Arctic state. Europe debates. America recalculates. Greenland, immovable and unavoidable, returns to the center of the map, the illusion of choice. When Greenlandic leaders state that they do not wish to be controlled by the United States, they are expressing a political preference, not defining a strategic outcome. Preferences matter in democracies, outcomes matter in geopolitics. The two often diverge. The choice presented, America or Denmark, is itself misleading. Greenland has already chosen both. And neither. It is Danish in governance, American in defense, and autonomous in aspiration. These layers coexist uneasily, but they coexist nonetheless. The United States does not require Greenland's consent to see Greenland. Radar does not ask permission. Satellites do not respect autonomy statutes. Missile trajectories are indifferent to constitutional nuance. What Greenland can refuse is ownership, what it cannot refuse is relevance. This is the quiet cruelty of geography. It does not negotiate control without possession. American power in Greenland is not exercised through colonial administration but through infrastructure. This is power stripped of symbolism and heavy with functionality. Runways, sensors, communication nodes, logistics hubs, these are the tools of modern dominance. The centerpiece is the American military presence that anchors North American missile defense and Arctic surveillance. It exists not to govern Greenlanders but to observe adversaries. Greenland is not occupied, it is instrumentalized. This distinction matters politically but not strategically. Control today is about shaping the environment in which others must operate. In this sense, Greenland is already embedded in America's defensive perimeter. It is less a territory than a component. Ownership would add little. It would also cost much. Why buying Greenland was always the wrong question. The periodic American flirtation with the idea of buying Greenland is often treated as a curiosity, even a joke. In reality, it reveals a misunderstanding of how power now functions. Buying Greenland would be an anachronism. an attempt to apply a 19th-century solution to a 21st-century problem. Annexation creates obligations, political representation, economic investment, social integration, and international backlash. Strategic access creates none of these. Access can be expanded quietly, justified collectively, and framed defensively. Ownership cannot. The modern American approach is subtler and more effective. It relies on alliances, shared threats, and technological dependence. Denmark remains sovereign, NATO remains unified, and the United States remains dominant. No treaties are violated. No borders are redrawn. And yet the outcome is the same: Greenland stays where it is, inside America's strategic field of vision. Denmark's sovereignty, America's responsibility. Denmark insists, correctly, that Greenland is not for sale. It also insists, equally correctly, that Arctic security requires cooperation with the United States. These two positions are not contradictory, they are complementary. Denmark retains sovereignty precisely because it accepts strategic asymmetry. It governs, subsidizes, and politically protects Greenland. The United States defends it, not as a favor, but as a necessity. This arrangement allows Denmark to remain a sovereign actor while outsourcing the most expensive aspects of sovereignty, defense against peer competitors. It also allows the United States to project power without assuming formal responsibility for governance. The imbalance is obvious, but it is mutually convenient. Denmark cannot exclude American power from Greenland without undermining NATO. The United States cannot disengage from Greenland without compromising its own security architecture. Thus sovereignty persists as form, while control manifests as function. NATO, the great sanitizer. If American dominance in Greenland has a legitimizing agent, it is NATO. The alliance transforms unilateral necessity into collective responsibility. What might otherwise appear as American pressure becomes Allied prudence. Under NATO's umbrella, expanded radar coverage is not American militarization but shared defense. Increased troop rotations are not occupation but deterrence. Infrastructure upgrades are not domination but burden sharing. NATO performs a critical political service, it depersonalizes power. American capabilities are reframed as alliance assets. Greenland becomes not an American outpost but a NATO node. For Greenlandic leaders, this provides a psychological buffer. They are not yielding to Washington, they are contributing to collective security. The distinction is thin, but politically essential. The Russia-China justification loop. Every expansion of American presence in Greenland will be justified by reference to Russia and China. This is not propaganda, it is strategic accounting. Russia has reactivated Arctic bases, expanded its northern fleet, and treated the polar region as a core military theater. China, though geographically distant, invests, researches, and rhetorically positions itself as a legitimate Arctic stakeholder. In this environment, American restraint would be interpreted as negligence. Absence would invite presence. Vacuum would invite occupation, thus Greenland becomes a defensive necessity by default. The United States does not claim it, it guards against losing it to others. This framing is powerful because it is plausible. The more Russia and China act in the Arctic, the less controversial American entrenchment becomes. Strategic competition feeds its own justification, autonomy in a world of systems. Greenland's autonomy is real, but bounded. It extends to domestic governance, cultural preservation, and economic development. It does not extend to geostrategic neutrality. No territory of Greenland's location enjoys that luxury. In a world organized by systems, defense systems, trade systems, data systems, autonomy is less about independence and more about alignment. Greenland is aligned, by necessity, with the West, and within the West, with the United States. This alignment constrains choice while preserving dignity. Greenland is not coerced, but neither is it free to opt out. It can choose how to belong, not whether to belong. Power without drama. Perhaps the most striking feature of Greenland's strategic status is how undramatic it is. There are no invasions, no ultimatums, no emergency summits. Power operates quietly, through memoranda, infrastructure budgets, and technical upgrades. This is how mature hegemonies behave. They do not shout, they integrate. They do not seize, they embed. Greenland's integration into America's security architecture is nearly complete precisely because it is incremental. Each radar upgrade seems minor. Each agreement seems technical. Together, they form a lattice of dependence that is difficult to reverse and unnecessary to contest. The myth of the final decision. Greenland's leaders speak of choices as if a definitive decision could resolve the matter. It cannot. There is no final settlement because there is no static equilibrium. As technology evolves and threats shift, Greenland's strategic role will expand, not contract. Autonomy will continue to coexist with integration. Danish sovereignty will continue to coexist with American dominance. This is not a contradiction, it is the structure of contemporary power. The question is not whether Greenland belongs to Denmark or America. It belongs to geography first. Everything else follows. Conclusion. Maps that matter. There are many kinds of maps. Legal maps define borders. Political maps define jurisdictions. Strategic maps define interests. In the modern world, it is the last that matters most. On legal maps, Greenland is Danish. On political maps, it is autonomous. On strategic maps, those drawn by defense planners, missile analysts, and security architects, it is American. This is not a betrayal of sovereignty. It is the price of relevance. Greenland illustrates a broader truth of the 21st century. Sovereignty is written in treaties, but control is drawn on screens, and on those screens, Greenland has already been accounted for, not owned, not annexed, not absorbed, but undeniably, unmistakably, and irreversibly, inside America's radar.